Hi YouTube, it's Princess Diamond. Welcome back to my channel. We are doing some Fulani boho braids. So let's get into these parts. Let's get into these braids. Let's talk about these curls. If you want all the details, then just keep on watching.
She's a diamond. She's a diamond girl. She's a diamond. Diamond, diamond, diamond.
The curly hair that I'll be adding to these braids is from Ywigs. I used 2 full packs of their water wave 100% human hair, as you can see right here on the packaging. They are both 24 inches long, so both bundles were 24 inches long. Again, this is the curl pattern water wave. You can see how bouncy it is. I'm going to show you guys exactly the curl pattern and what the curls look like. Now, when I separated these curls as I was adding the curls to the hair, they do kind of fluff up and it makes it look really full. But I wanted to see how it would hold up if it were to be dipped in water. So I did do a test strand, but this was not hot water. This was just regular water just to see how it would hold up, and I kind of just tried to scrunch it just to preserve the curls. I was satisfied with the way it looked and how it turns out when it was wet, so I knew that if we needed to or wanted to dip these in hot water at the ends, we should be good. So starting out, I am doing a middle part at the front of her head, and I'm stopping just right there at the top of her head, making sure that I'm not going too far back, because if she puts these in a ponytail, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't want her ponytail to be slanted towards the back of her head. Also making sure it's not too far forward. So just stopping right there where the back of her ear is, and then I'm just doing a part straight down to the back of her ear, and then I'm going to do another part on the other side of her ear. So I'm starting with a middle part. I'm not worrying really about making the middle part straight for this style specifically, but it's just my guide. And then I'm parting from ear to ear going sideways. I'm using 2 products today. The Shine and Jam in the orange container is to clean up my parts, and this Braid Lock and Gel is for when I'm doing the knotless in the back, kind of just to have a nice sleek like foundation there at the root. I thought it really helped. I thought it was a little better than the Shine and Jam. So for my next parting, as you can see again from the top of her ear, I'm parting from side to side or from ear to ear, going straight across. And then I like to do this just because then I can see how many rows I will be parting, just to gauge for my sizing and everything. And if you guys seen there, I was kind of showing you that I was going to do 3 rows in the back there in that section. So I parted it 2 times in this back section. So this is my first row that I'm starting out with. For this first row, I did do 4 braids, just for those who are interested in this parting size, or this parting size. I do have a more in-depth tutorial on exactly how I part for full knotless braids. Of course, this one is just doing knotless braids in the back, but my parting is pretty much the same. I'm just not parting for knotless braids in the front. So I'm starting with just doing some knotless braids. I typically added 5 pieces of hair for my knotless braids, and then I'm going to start adding in the curly hair. I am going to do 1 full knotless braid on camera for you guys to see. So from start to finish, you'll see me do this entire braid. I also am going to explain how I added in the curly hair piece, how many curly pieces I added to each braid. And yes, I did add curly hair to every single braid, but I did add in different amounts depending on which row I was on. I'll show you guys how I finished it in the ends and all of that. So just keep on watching, especially if you are a beginner. So starting out with adding the curly hair, I'm adding it right behind the braid. As you can see, my 3 pieces, I'm matching up that short end of the curly piece to the middle strand of my braiding hair. So I'm just going to braid that in as normal, but I'm going to leave out the long piece. And if that did not make any sense, just rewatch it. And if you need to slow it down, you can actually slow this video down yourself. So just rewatch it a couple times. As I'm braiding it down, I do like to use the Shine and Jam in the orange jar to help kind of smooth and keep the braids nice and sleek, but it's really hard to keep these blunt ends from sticking out. So if you have blunt ends, I just like to snip them, especially if I'm past the client's hair. There's going to be no issue with just making sure that I'm only cutting the braiding hair or the curly hair, not the client's natural hair. So right here now, I'm going to show you guys how I'm adding in my final piece, and this is the piece that's going to be sticking out at the end. So I added it in the same way, except I'm just not leaving out any curly hair. All of the pieces are just getting braided in as normal. And then to seal the ends, right there as I'm about finished with the braiding hair, I'm going to take a small, tiny section of the human hair curly hair, and I'm going to loop that around the braid like so. And then I'm just going to create a knot. I'm going to do this at least 3 times or 4 times right on top of each other. So I'm going to create 3 to 4 knots directly on top of each other to secure that knot. And so I'm just showing you guys another way of wrapping the hair around that braid to create the knot. For this first row, notice that my curly hair piece, my first curly hair piece that I added in, I didn't add until a little ways down further from the nape area. So I added 3 curly hair pieces in the braid and then 1 curly hair piece at the ends of the braid. So for this first row, altogether, I added 4 pieces of curly hair. And again, my pieces of curly hair started further down away from the nape area. When I got to the second row, I think I pretty much did the same exact thing. So 3 pieces of curly hair within the braid, 1 piece at the ends of the braid. And again, my first curly piece that I added to the braid is starting towards the bottom of the braid away from the nape area, and that's just to avoid it from tangling up. Now when I got to my third row, you can see that first curly hair piece went in a little bit higher this time. And then I also added in 4 pieces of curly hair within the braid, 1 piece at the end. So 5 pieces of curly hair total. This is on now my third row that I'm doing. And in my fourth row, again, the first piece went up just a little bit higher than the last row. And I still kept the same amount. So 4 pieces within the braid, 1 piece at the very ends, 5 pieces total within the braid. And I kept that same amount for the rest of the knotless braids. Now I'm just adding in my curly pieces more closer to the roots because I'm away from the nape area now. So we don't have to worry about it matting up or getting tangled up towards the back of the head around the nape area. So I'm showing you guys now the top knotless braid. One thing I do want to point out, when I was adding in these pieces starting from the bottom rows, you could see that I was adding it in towards the bottom of the braid. And so to kind of level it up, as I got to the top of the braids, as I got to the top of the head, my curly hair pieces that I'm adding in, I'm now adding it in more closer to the top just to make these curls even. I don't want the fullness just at the bottom only. I wanted to kind of even it out. So I want the fullness of the curls at the top as well. So now all of my pieces are now at towards the top, and then my final piece is at the very end. I hope that makes sense, and that's just to make sure that all of the curls are not so full just there at the bottom, but they're full from the roots all the way to the bottom. I hope that makes sense. I'm just trying to make the curls full all the way through. So when I got to the top, those last several rows at the top there, the curly hair pieces are being added more close together and more closer to the top of her braids. Now you can see it's very full all the way through, not just towards the ends. Look at these parts, nice and clean. Like I said, if you want a more in-depth tutorial on how I brick part and everything like that, be sure to check out my parting tutorial. I will link it up above as well as down below for you guys to check out. So now we're just going to get into the feed and braid portion of these Fulani braids. The fun thing about these Fulani braids is you can make it your own, so you don't have to follow this exact braid pattern or braid guide or whatever, but if you do, here's what I did. So starting out, I'm just going to create a triangle part at the front of her head. So you remember that middle section that I did and I said that was my guide? Well, that's going to help me now with doing my triangle part. So on both sides, I am just creating a diagonal line, and you want to make sure, or at least I always make sure, that when I part in the back, I come towards in the front of the client as well and repart again, because what you're seeing in the back edgy part is not the same as what it looks like in the front. So I always want to come in the front and make sure that the part is even, it looks right and everything like that. So once I get it to where I want, I twist up that part section, and you can now see that it's a nice little triangle section. I'm going to leave that for the last part. That's what I'm going to do last. So right now I'm going to use that triangle diagonal line as like my guide, and all of my parts on this side are going to go parallel to that triangle part, so parallel to that diagonal part that I have. So this first braid right here towards her ear is not going straight back like it normally would if you're just doing some regular feeding braids. It's actually slanted, so you see how it's parallel to that first part that I did. And that's just if you're doing the triangle part in the middle section. Again, Fulani braids are so fun. You can do however you want to do it, but I'm just explaining what I did for those who are interested in how I did it. So I'm starting out with some feed-in braids, and of course, every piece in the front of these braids, or every braid in the front of this section, is going to be going to have the curly hair pieces in it as well. And then I'm continuing with following that diagonal part, and now I'm just creating some triangle parts in here, and I'm just going to do some knotless braids, triangle parts in this section. And I am continuing again with adding the curly hair pieces in this. I honestly don't want to lie, I don't remember how many curly hair pieces I added within these braids. It's really not that big of a deal. Add as many as you want or as little as you want. Just make sure it's, to your liking, or make sure that it kind of complements or matches what you already got going on in the back area. So this is what the parts are looking like, and now I'm just going to do my two little crisscross braids, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing the crisscross braids. Again, as I'm braiding, the product that I'm using for when I'm cleaning up these parts, this is the Shine and Jam for cleaning up the parts, because baby, these product prices are going up, and yeah, we need to save some coins. So the Shine and Jam in the orange jar is going to work perfectly well just for parting. Now, when I need to clean up my parts and do a nice sleek little knotless, then I'll use something a little bit more, but we just parting, so the Shine and Jam in the orange container works just fine. Okay, so now I'm doing my crisscross braids. I showed you guys how I parted. I'm crisscrossing it over to the other section and continuing, and then I'm going to show you how I overlap the braid and, yeah, crisscross it. This is kind of just like, you just got to watch. Okay, so nice little crisscross braid. And again, every braid did have curly hair added to it. Every single braid had curly hair added to it. And then I did another row of the triangle part knotless braids. And so that was pretty much it for everything on this section of that triangle part. I did the exact same thing on the other side. Now that triangle section that I did in the middle, now I'm just doing these diagonal braids. So I'll just show you, these are just feed-in braids. I think I did 6 maybe. Of course, just do whatever can fit in the section that you parted. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so now I'm showing you guys kind of the finished result. This is what it's looking like. Now, nothing has been done, no product. I did add some mousse on the feed-in braids at the top, but really nothing has been added to the curls and the back braids or anything. So this is what it's looking like. It's nice and full. Like I said, I did use 2 full bundles. And I did decide to go ahead and dip these in hot water. They were so nice and full, but I really wanted that nice, loose, flowy braid, you know, nice. It's just moving around and it's not stiff look. Yeah, that's what we were going for. So we did go ahead and dip these in hot water. As you can see, I'm just kind of scrunching it up like I showed you guys there in the beginning, just to kind of help with the curls. This is the final result. You guys, let me know what you think. Chef's kiss. Okay, I loved the ending result, but what can I say? I'm a little biased. But you guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much to Ywigs for sponsoring this video. The link to this hair, of course, will be dropped down in the description below. Obviously, as you guys can see, it's nice. It's nice. So check it out. Also, I'd like to know, what size parting were the knotless braids that I did in the back. I always like hearing other people's opinions on the parting size, because everybody has a different idea on what the parting size are. So let me know down in the comments. Some people will even give a different size for the box and a different size for the braids. So what size do you think the parts in the back are? Do you think they're small? Do you think they're medium? And do you think the braids are small? Or do you think the braids are medium? Yeah, let me know. Don't ask me how long this took. This took a long time, okay? This took a long time, but it was very, very worth it. These were so fun to do, and they came out so nice, you guys. I kid you not. I honestly loved them. My client loved it. As you can see, she's cheesing. She loved it. It was so cute. Yeah. So we're going to style it up a little bit, show you guys everything that you can do, blah, 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 whatever. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, please. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. As always, you guys be blessed, stay protected, and stay filled with love and peace.